Start it up. All right, AAC. Louisville improved to 4-2 in the ACC. They got a 30-18 win over NC State, the Wolfpack. I can actually see improvements on the offensive line. I can see improvements everywhere. Of course, we did get Devontae Parker back this week, and I know that really helped.
Spider-Man.
Yep, AC's boy. So the return of Devontae, and then Michael Dyer, really, really impressive. So he kind of had a little breakout game there, which was nice to see. And we needed him because we've got some guys nicked up on the our running back line. So really, really good job by Michael Dyer as well. Yeah, Devontae had 9 catches, 132 yards. That's not a bad first game of the season for him.
He's going to have more receptions than most of the receivers that we got playing that's been playing 8 games almost. So.
True. And then Michael Dyer busted loose for 24 rushes, 173 yards, and a touchdown. So, and then one at the end of the game kind of sealed the win. Louisville kind of had the game in hand. They made it a little bit of a game there, but Louisville always kind of seemed to be in control.
Yeah.
NC State was 6 of 14 on third downs. Overall, they had some success against our defense. A little bit surprising because that's really the first time that any team has had success against our defense. But, you know, it's tough to bring it night in and night out. So every once in a while we're going to have a little bit of a letdown.
As you know, my prediction was they scored touchdowns.
Yeah, you did get that right. You did say I did not think they would get in the end zone. I thought they'd get a couple of field goals, and
I just thought we relaxed. We played a heck of a game against Clemson. We were pretty high, and you know, we just let down a little bit. You could tell the defense was a little sluggish coming out. So, you know, and I think they may have been overconfident, and NC State hit us with a few touchdowns.
Yeah, and Jacoby Brissett, who we talked about, is a good quarterback, and he really did a good job of taking care of the ball. He only threw 1 interception. That was at the end of the game when it was kind of over. To Rashad Holloman, who now has 9, leads the nation in that category. We did a lot better job with penalties. We only had 4 penalties. I believe all of them were on the defense. I don't think the offense had a penalty. I don't think they did. I could be wrong with that.
Turnovers for scores. We didn't give it up close to our end zone.
Nope.
Although Will, the fumble that he was ruled down, the guy got and ran all the way back. I was.
Yeah, I don't know why he even tried to hand that ball off. I mean,
either.
just go ahead and tuck it. If you're going down, go ahead and tuck it. I mean, he sticks the ball up like this.
I mean, he was on the ground trying
Yeah,
to hand it off.
I'm not sure what he was thinking there. You're not going to make something happen. Just go ahead and go down with the ball. So
not a freshman, Will.
Yeah, that's right. So Will was 21 of 36 and had a couple of touchdown passes, so that's a good game for him. He managed it very well.
He managed it, yep.
General team update. Actually, a couple of injuries that we thought were could have been of more concern, and that was Lorenzo Malden and James Quick. Yep. Both of them looked bad when they happened. Lorenzo, they didn't cart him off the field, but 2 guys had to carry him off the field. He couldn't even put any weight on that left hamstring. As it turns out, it was a hamstring injury. Bobby said earlier this week they expect him to be back for the game against Florida State, which is in a week from today, actually. So.
Yeah. He'd have to have a bone broken to miss that game. I guarantee it. James Quick, he'll bounce back, you know, and hopefully he'll be out on the practice field soon.
Mm-hmm. We'll move on into our Dice Player of the Week. This one was easy for me, and I'm glad to call his name finally, and that's Michael Dyer. Michael, again, had a breakout game, 24 rushes, 173 yards, and a touchdown. So Michael Dyer is definitely my Dice Player of the Week this week on offense. What about you, my friend?
That's the kind of game I've been looking for Michael to have since he
got
here.
Not any of the running backs.
And you can tell from last year to this year that injury really kept him down. So, but my Dice Player, again, Spider-Man, Devontae Parker.
Well, he deserves it.
I mean, he come in and he gave us a lift. Our offense looked confident. You know, and we did some of the things we made some good progress this week. So, Devontae Parker, he's my offensive player today.
And somebody who I feel like I've kind of overlooked as our defensive Dice Player of the Week, and that's Lorenzo Malden. I think we kind of took him for granted. I took him for granted a little bit because everybody knew that he was kind of a preseason All-American. And you know what? I have failed to make him the Dice Defensive Player of the Week until this week. Lozo, my man, you were the Dice Defensive Player of the Week for me. He did get another sack. I think he has 6.5 on the season, so that's pretty good. He's on pace to hopefully get double digits again. So good job by Lozo.
I too, bro, have taken you for granted, but I'm a move over to Mr. Holloman. Got 8th, 9th.
Ninth, I believe.
Interception.
Yeah, ninth.
You know, he's doing a good job out there. Although it was cheap. It was cheap. You know, he's back there by himself playing center field, but he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
And Mr. Malden, you're right. We take him for granted. I mean, he is a excellent guy. Should be somewhere first, second round draft pick coming out.
I know, and he's a tough cat. So good job, Lozo. And I'm sorry I've overlooked you for 7-8 weeks here now. So anyway, he got mine this week, so he's back in the saddle for me. All right, AC, wide receiver talk, my friend. Take it over.
We went from, I think it was 12 catches one game, 14 for a receiving core, to up to 21, JP. We got 21 guys catching balls. So, I mean, it's as long as it's going up every week, although Devontae had half of those catches. So we got some guys going. I think James Quick only had one catch. So we're spreading the ball around. Christian only had one catch. What did Eli have? Eli had 5. He was next in line. So between him and Devontae, that's half the balls right there. So I mean, we're improving every week. I want to say that Bobby is able to open it up a little bit, depending on which quarterback, who's doing well. So we'll look a little bit more confident in the pocket. Delivered some good balls, and I mean, he threw some strikes to Devontae. So I'm gaining confidence as we go. I'm gaining confidence, but again, we've got the best receivers in America right here in Louisville. So, hopefully we can put a lot more of that together coming up against Florida State.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it does look like, because each receiver lines up in a different position on the field, and it looks like he's exploiting the defenses with those different players. And obviously Devontae's a cut above the rest. But, Eli catches 5 or 6 balls one week. It's James Quick last week. Now, they had to do it because Devontae wasn't there. But I think you're starting to see Bobby P. really starting to, since he's got his loaded stable of wide receivers now, he's starting to say, okay, Eli usually lines up here and they're in this defensive formation. I think we can exploit some things they're doing. So it does look like he's starting to do that. So.
And Bobby's a matchup guy. I mean, he gets a matchup. I mean, he'll exploit it. And that's one of the best things that he did when he was here before. He exploited teams in the secondary, and he kept doing it. And Bobby will stick the knife in you.
Yeah.
And that's what we really enjoy. So, and Bobby knows what he's doing. So I've kind of second guessed him at times, and I expect to have this explosive offense.
Yeah, we both did.
It's a progression, and I think it's coming.
He says we're getting better. I believe it. I think we are starting to look better in all facets. I mean, definitely cutting down on those penalties was a huge plus, because we didn't do that for the first 8 games or 7 games of the season. So they looked a lot better there. So I'm starting to see progress too.
And I'm glad I'm seeing progress, because I thought Bobby was getting soft. So, all this touchy-feely, let's do things.
He's a better
softer,
person. He's a nicer guy.
In a softer way, and I thought he was losing it. But
yeah,
I'm with you, Bobby. I'm with you, Bobby.
Killer instinct, my friend. Killer instinct.
Stick it in them.
All right, crapped out teams of the week. Love this segment. AC and I. This one is an easy one for me. I thought about it a little while, and then actually on the advice of a friend of mine, Seth Blood, he pointed out that Texas A&M deserves to be my crapped out team of the week. And he's right. And this is why you don't drink a team's Kool-Aid the first 1 or 2 weeks of the season. Remember they go into South Carolina? They blow them out by like 21, 24. I'm thinking Kevin Sumlin, good Lord, look out for Texas A&M.
I was impressed.
I was too. We both drank Texas A&M's maroon Kool-Aid, College Station style. And they march into Alabama. And you brought it up on the show last week. Nick Saban's been hearing all this talk about Alabama soft, and the games passed them by, and they're not as good as they were before. And here comes Texas A&M and Kevin Sumlin. They walk out. They got taken behind the woodshed, 59-0. That's the first time Kevin Sumlin has ever been shut out in a college game. 59-0. That's easy. Texas A&M, you crapped out. That's too easy. Double time, triple time. Good Lord, guys, you better get it back together.
Maybe they didn't. They say things are bigger in Texas. Yeah, they got it.
The butt whooping they got put in Alabama is big. I can tell you that.
Who did Florida play this past week? Did they play at all?
Oh yeah, they got booed off. They got booed
at home. Was Missouri, wasn't it? Was it Missouri?
I think it was Missouri. Yeah, it was Missouri. Yeah. They threw picks. They did the fumbles and pick sixes and kickoff and punt returns for touchdown. Missouri scored every which way they could.
Well,
yeah, it was Florida.
I don't care who they lost to, but when you get booed at home and you're Florida, you know, and I don't think they're going to fire the man in the middle of the season.
I don't think so either, but it's inevitable.
It's time to make a change at Florida. I mean, that's a prime job. You know, if Charlie would have waited a little longer here, he could have got that Florida job, maybe.
That's the job he said he wanted. So
yeah, with all the connections. But Florida, you've been crapping out all season.
Yeah.
So you get my crap out.
Which brings up an interesting point because we don't have to talk about it now. We'll talk about it on a later show. But what about if Dan Mullins from Mississippi State gets that phone call for that Florida job? He used to be the offensive coordinator there. I don't know how that one all shake out. We'll see. I'm sure Florida fans now are really saying, yeah, Dan Mullins, but I'm not so sure what Dan Mullins is going to do. I think he got passed over once before.
But you just never know the connections. He's hot right now. He's got
he's hot.
Hot. So, you know, Florida's one of the pretty jobs. Mississippi State, they're doing it. But Florida's a pretty job. So he might get back to the Sunshine State.
He might. We'll see. We'll talk about that on our show towards the end of the season when we got a little more information. So now our Paradise picks of the week. Unfortunately, last week I was 0-2. Fortunately for me, AC was 0-2 as well, so that kind of helped out. But I can't believe we both had a 0. I know we're only picking 2 games against the spread, so I got a couple more tough ones here, AC, this week. Ole Miss. You've been drinking their Kool-Aid for a while. I'm really starting to kind of buy into Ole Miss. They're the number 3 team in the nation. They're favored by 3, but now they're traveling to LSU. Baton Rouge. I'm sure it's going to be a night game. LSU destroyed Kentucky last week. So LSU could finally be starting to click a little bit.
I thought we didn't mention Kentucky on this show.
Well, they got blown out, so it's okay to mention when they get blown out. But now, Ole Miss, though, favored by 3 going to LSU. I'm going to stick with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to beat LSU. I think they're going to cover. LSU good win last week, but
they're going to go down to Baton Rouge. I'm with you. Ole Miss.
Yeah.
LSU's just not as strong.
I don't think they are yet.
And you get a team that's going to hit them in the mouth. Kentucky couldn't punch them. Mm-mm. And, you know, Ole Miss will run away with this.
All right, so we both like Ole Miss to cover in that game. Next one, we're going to go out west. Rice-Eccles Stadium, Salt Lake City, Utah. The Utes are now ranked again, number 19 in the nation. They're taking on USC. USC's actually favored by 1. USC's ranked 20th. Utah's ranked 19th. Good matchup. I like the Utes. If you haven't seen the Utes play, watch them play. Kyle Whittingham, those guys hit hard on defense. I mean, they punish you on defense. And I'm going to go with the Utes at home to win that game. It's basically a toss-up being 1 point USC favorite. I'm going to go with Utah as a 1-point dog at home.
USC, they ain't done yet. Okay?
Cody Kessler did throw 7 touchdown passes last week for USC, though. 7.
There's a pride factor. USC, those guys are full of pride, and they're not going to go in there and lose to the Utes.
You wait and see what happens there. All right, now we got our easy button picks here. We got 3 games here. AC, you're just going to pick tonight's game. We got UConn against East Carolina. East Carolina made a believer out of me when they blew out North Carolina. North Carolina hung like 70 on them. I think East Carolina in that game over UConn. That one's easy.
Well, we're going to have to agree on this one. ECU will probably beat them by 50.
And they could. East Carolina's got a great offense. Okay, the Ducks again. You know I like the Ducks. They're taking on Cal. Cal is a much improved team. Oregon's traveling to Cal. I don't care. I still think the Ducks win. They cover. I don't know how many the point spread is, but the Ducks will win by 3 touchdowns. So Oregon, that one's easy as well for me.
I'm getting tired of Oregon on this show right now. We need to pick somebody else. I'm going to say Cal wins on a Hail Mary at the end.
If Cal wins, we will not pick the Ducks next week. So you heard it here first. Now, a game that's close to my friend's heart here, the Michigan Wolverines against Sparty, Michigan State. Now, we had Slick Nick on our show last week, and he picked Michigan State, and he was correct. He also picked male Bulldogs.
He was correct.
And they also won that game, so he was 2-0 last week. I know this is a rivalry game, and I know Brady Hoke is on the hot seat. But I also know that Michigan State is going to win this game. You know what? Since it's a rivalry game, Michigan still won't stay within 10 points. I still think Michigan State will win by 10-plus points.
Well, I'm going to tell you, when you go to war, you got to bring some soldiers. Michigan ain't bringing no soldiers to this fight.
That's what I'm worried about.
Michigan State wins by 30.
I know it hurts you to say that, but I'm with you there. Yeah. So it's kind of throwing this game and this whole thing off a little bit because we have a bye week this week. However, the Florida State Seminoles come to town, number 2 team in the nation, coming to town next Thursday night, ESPN. Famous Jameis, although he's famous for the wrong reasons, is coming to town. AC and I is going to be there. We're also going to have a little headgear on. Hopefully we'll make it on TV. We'll see. I'm a ham for the camera, so I never mind being on TV. I don't know about my partner here. He'd probably be surrounded by police officers and security, so they probably can't get near him. But
like usual.
Yeah, I'll be looking for the camera. So, I welcome the opportunity. Our chance to shine comes on national TV next week. I know they're saying that's a trap game for Florida State. They really need to be careful. And they do. I don't care who it is. You better be careful when you come into Papa John's Cardinal Stadium and play Louisville anytime. Yeah. However, we talked about earlier in the show, I think Louisville's offense is starting to click. Their defense has been there all year. We got Devontae Parker back. We're at full staff. We're at full speed. So, I think we're going to scout the Seminoles. I think it's going to be close, but I think we win by a field goal 27-24. I think John Wallace is the difference in the game. And I think Louisville's going to win. And I hope that includes some field storming activity because I wouldn't mind climbing up on the goalpost again like I did the last time they were here.
That's right. I was on the field, baby.
Yeah, me too.
We carried those goalposts back to Fraternity Row.
Yeah, that's right. The Teak House where I was a member. So we had a portion of that field goal post for a while.
Florida State comes in here. They're going to meet our defense. Hello, Louisville.
Number 1 ranked defense.
And our quarterback's going to manage the game and not turn the ball over and lose it for us. We're going to win 25-17.
25-17, and I've got 27-24, so we're both expecting a close game. I hope the weather cooperates.
And I hope it's cold.
Well, yeah, that actually will hurt Florida State. So we'll see how it goes, and we may or may not have a show before next week's game. I don't know. That's kind of what this one's for. But we're both predicting a big win over the Seminoles. Hopefully, our next episode, if we don't tape before that game, we'll be celebrating a big win over the number 2 team in the nation and throw that whole playoff system into a tailspin. I'm JP.
And I'm AC.
This is Cardinal Pairadice, and that's how we roll.